Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program. Well, you know what? We will let you be a little loose on the phones today if you want, because we're headed into Christmas. I'm headed out of town for a few days. Let me give you the programming note before I begin, and we actually have some news we got to discuss out of the gate here. But so I will be gone Monday through Thursday of next week. Employee Christmas present is a trip to a hockey game to Las Vegas. But I will be on Friday here for the Christmas program. My full interview with Bart Barber of the Southern Baptist Convention will air. I'll also have Derek Thomas, the senior pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Columbia, South Carolina, with me. I was actually going to speak with a Catholic priest. Everything fell through at the end and was not able to get it taken care of. But they're both, Derek and Bart are great interviews. I'll be with you as well for walking you through Christmas as I do every year. The phone number again, 877-973-7425. Let's begin with the mass temper tantrum. Here is one of CNN's reporters, Donnie O'Sullivan.
You know, I think one thing that's really important to stress here is I have a platform. I'm on CNN, but you guys right now. We are in the privileged position, really, as journalists, where if we want to quit Twitter, we're still going to be able to report and do our jobs. For a lot of independent, freelance journalists around the world, you know, the reality is they have to be on Twitter because that is where editors and publishers will see their work and might hire them. I worry about the chilling effect that this might have on those reporters, particularly when you think that Musk also owns these other companies, Tesla and SpaceX. What if you're in Germany or elsewhere and you're reporting on maybe poor working conditions? Is he going to come and just stamp you down because he says, oh, that's against the rules?
Okay. The national media is having a temper tantrum because Elon Musk had a temper tantrum. Elon Musk blocks the coverage of his private Gulfstream 650. And so if you go on a flight service and put in the tail number of most planes, it'll show you where they're coming, where they're going. Elon Musk's plane, you can't do that. He pays the FAA a fee to be able to block it. But a kid on Twitter and others have been able to, essentially, they have tracked locations of a Gulfstream G650ER that is extended range that was tied to Musk so they knew where it was. So ever after, they set up a tracking system that could track if it was a Gulfstream 650ER that left from this point en route to another point, they could track it, even though he pays the FAA not to track it. It wasn't this kid alone, but this kid started a Twitter account called Elon's Jet. Elon Musk offered him $5,000 to shut it down. The kid wouldn't do it. Months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that his commitment to free speech was so strong, even though there was a direct personal risk to this information being out there, he would allow this kid's account to stay. Yesterday, his children were threatened. He has several kids under the age of 13. At least one of them was threatened by someone. And Elon Musk believes it is because that person was able to track the airplane on this account. So he shut down the account. And then a bunch of reporters decided to start posting all the information themselves. So Elon Musk turned off all of their accounts. And now those reporters are all screaming how unfair it is. Doesn't he know who we are? Yeah, he doesn't care. Neither do we. Here's the reality. Elon Musk owns Twitter. He can do whatever he wants. he may run it into the ground. Also, what he has done in this fit of rage is give massive more exposure to the ability to track his airplane. Already, overnight, surging interest in his plane. New accounts have come online all over the internet to track his airplane because Elon Musk threw this fit of rage. It's called the Streisand effect. Years ago, a photographer, I forget the guy's name, but he was doing a book on coastal erosion in California. And he was showing the mansions built right on the cliffs of the Pacific Ocean near Los Angeles. One of them was Barbara Streisand's. Nobody cared about Barbara Streisand's house. It just happened to be one of many pictures that this guy took. But Barbara Streisand cared, and she sued the guy for an invasion of privacy. The result was that the picture of Barbara Streisand's house went viral on the internet. And this is called the Streisand effect. When you draw attention to something most people don't care about, and it goes viral as a result, that's the Streisand effect. Elon Musk, drawing attention to the ability to track his private plane, has now made the ability to track his private plane go viral and cause much more exposure to it than if he had just left well enough alone. What is more notable here, though, is the temper tantrum of these members of the media. A group of highly progressive, and that actually is important here, highly progressive reporters for CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, and others. And they have an overinflated sense of importance. So I want to be very clear with everyone here. I think Elon Musk overreacted, and in his overreaction has actually drastically increased exposure of his plane. Yes, it is true he had paid the FAA not to be able to cover where it goes, but it is also true people found a way to do it, whether they should have or not. They did. By him throwing this temper tantrum, more people are now doing it, which actually gives more exposure, which is why he should not have done it. But I have very little sympathy for the members of the media who, when he said, if you do this, you are going to get banned, and they did it and got banned, and now they're crying because this has been happening to conservatives for years, and not a one of these people cared at all. In fact, many of them thought the bans were justified because we had the audacity to point out certain men are men, even though they claim not to be. These highly progressive, highly online reporters who have built up their followings and in many cases got noticed and got their jobs because of their Twitter accounts no longer have their Twitter accounts, and it is what defined them, and they are furious because they have no meaning in their life outside of what they can do on social media. Like so many people on the right, they need to get a life. Here's the problem with this whole story. Most of you are not on Twitter. And by the way, I don't encourage anyone to get on Twitter. In fact, I encourage you to get off of Twitter. Mark 5, the possessed men come to Christ and ask Christ to exorcise the demons. The demons know who Christ is. They beg him, please put us in the herd of pigs going past. Christ exorcises the legion of demons. They go into the herd of pigs. The pigs run down the hill to the Sea of Galilee, and they all drown. Demons, being immortal creatures, had needed somewhere to go, so they fast forwarded to the future, and they went to Silicon Valley, and they created Twitter. That explains how social media is such a demonic cesspool of crap. You don't need to be on it. I don't need to be on it. I kind of have to be on it. You don't have to be on it. Why do I have to be on it? Well, I'm writing a book. And one of the first questions the book publisher asked is, how many Twitter followers do you have? The publishing world is obsessed with it. It's a matter of prestige. You got the blue check mark. You have a couple 100,000 followers. The problem is that these left-wing reporters, they were totally fine with Twitter doing exactly what Elon Musk did, but doing it to people not on their side, and they didn't care. They justified it. Many of the very same people who are justifying conservatives getting banned say, well, they told you not to refer to Bruce Jenner as Bruce Jenner. Well, Elon Musk told you don't put up the flight tracking information for his plane or how to find it. What's good for the goose? Good for the gander. The larger issue here, though, is that the American media, particularly the younger members of the American media at this point, have an overinflated sense of self-worth. They believe they actually are more important than you. The media covers the media more than anything else. Just think about the story of Donald Trump's NFT cards. It's a ridiculous item that he has come up with, and the media overnight spent a lot of time trying to figure out who was actually responsible, who came up with the idea, who owned the company, and where the money is going. If they had invested even half the resources into digging up information on FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, millions of people might not have lost billions of dollars. But instead, what they were doing is they were paying for Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX to sponsor their conferences and come sit on stage and hobnob with them while they fawned over him while he was running a Ponzi scheme. Allegedly. Had they invested any resources at all in investigating the guy, they might have realized something wasn't right. In fact, multiple business reporters did investigate, did raise red flags, but the major media outlets from CNBC to Bloomberg wouldn't bite on the information because Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX were subsidizing their events and coming to their parties. The media cares about the media. This is why this Twitter situation is one that both Elon Musk needs to win and one we need to be aware of. I actually think Elon Musk overplayed his hand and shouldn't have. But at this point, if I got to root for a side, I root for him for this reason. The media needs to be broken. I don't like saying that. I have many friends who are fantastic reporters who I deeply respect, but the sense of self-importance in the American mainstream media right now is through the roof. They view themselves as some sort of arbiters of what is true when many times they post the stuff that is not true. They were complicit in helping silence the story of Hunter Biden's laptop. Many of the reporters, by the way, who have been banned by Twitter are reporters whose news organizations were totally fine with the New York Post's account being turned off because of the Hunter Biden story, which turned out to be true. They've picked a side and they're playing for that side. Donald Trump referred to these people as the enemy, and they decided to treat him accordingly. They could no longer be fair to him. They can't be fair to Republicans. They can't be fair to Elon Musk. They have an overinflated sense of ego and self-worth and importance. Many of them believe the First Amendment's freedom of the press applies specifically to them, not to you and me. They need to be humbled. Their organizations are going through layoffs. The Washington Post is announcing that it's going through layoffs. The New York Times growth is anemic. CNN is going through layoffs. NBC, MSNBC about to go through a shakeup. I don't know that they even know that one, but they are. Because people are tuning them out. They're tuning them out for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons is nobody trusts them anymore. And these temper tantrums are an example of why. Elon Musk was mean to them, and so they're going to devote their entire editorial energy to going after Elon Musk, as opposed to what people care about. A majority of Americans are not on Twitter. A majority of Americans do not care about Twitter, but these people care deeply about Twitter because it's where they get their self-worth. It's where people can give them attaboys and high fives, and so they care deeply about it. So that's what they cover, and meanwhile, the American people are going to move on to other organizations and people and entities that actually cover the things they actually care about. If they want to clean up their house, the best thing they could do is ignore Elon Musk, ignore this, and actually focus on what matters in the world. An Iranian soccer player is about to be executed because he dared to protest in Iran against its government. The media is more upset about getting their Twitter account canceled than about an Iranian soccer player about to be hanged, because the one affects them. The other, they don't care who it affects. It's not them who it's impacted by. A friend of mine and I were discussing Boll and Branch sheets the other night when he was sitting on the front porch with me, and he didn't believe that they got softer and softer every time you washed them. His wife was not convinced at all. She figured it was all marketing hype. Now she wants Boll and Branch sheets for all of their beds at home. Why? Because they really do get softer every time you wash them. They're free of toxins, pesticides, harsh chemicals at every step of the process. They're the finest 100% organic cotton on earth. They're made by artisans who earn the pay and the respect they deserve. And right now, you can bring home a better night's sleep this holiday season with Boll and Branch bedding. Their signature sheets even come wrapped and ready in a beautiful holiday gift box. It's going to look good. It's going to feel great. For a limited time, get 20% off your first set of sheets and free shipping when you use promo code ERIC at bollandbranch.com. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com. Promo code is ERIC, ERICK at bollandbranch.com. Hello there. You know the NBC News reporter, Ben Collins, I should say air quotes. Ben Collins is the guy who suggested that the right on Twitter complaining about transgenderism is actually what caused the person to shoot up the gay bar in Colorado. He extrapolated too far and too much. NBC News has taken him off the Twitter beat, which is good. When you're too much of a propagandist, even for NBC. It is interesting, though. NBC took off the guy from San Francisco who covered Paul Pelosi, and now they've done this. They're disciplining reporters left and right. They may be the only news organization out there. I question the one out in San Francisco. It's interesting to me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Let's see. I think I have time to go to Robert. Welcome to the show, Robert. How are you?
Thank you, Eric. Very well. And yourself?
I'm doing great.
Super. I've got 0 Twitter followers, and I have to agree. Have to agree with you. The media is broken. Having said that, you've got 2 interesting guests coming up, members of the clergy, and would love for you to have a open and encompassing discussion about the biggest problem in America today, which is the broken family.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm glad you say that. I don't know that it's something that will be relevant to the specific conversation we're going to have about Christmas, but it is actually the problem. True. Robert, the data out there shows that kids who have a 2-parent nuclear household, in particular, I don't want to offend anyone because there actually is copious data. They're 2-parent heterosexual nuclear household. That's what I'm talking about. Those kids tend to do better in school. They outperform all others. They tend to have higher paying jobs and more stable jobs. They themselves tend to get married and stay married. They have a lower rate of divorce. Their children, in turn, go on to be the most productive members of society. I had a family researcher actually tell me that one day, if you are married and you have kids and you raise your children, it doesn't matter whether your children go to college or not. They statistically will outperform all others from broken homes, and they will one day have the nickname boss. Now, listen, I don't want you to be hard-hearted in that if that's not your situation. That's what the data says, and we should accept. This is actually what the data says, and there are exceptions to the rule. You don't need to call and say, well, I'm on my 3rd marriage and my kid's the CEO of something. No, I get it. I understand there are exceptions to the rule. Just overall in the data, this is one of the reasons it's hard to have this conversation is because people are very sensitive to it. They feel like you're judging them when you give them the data. Interestingly enough, however, do you know in which household has the healthiest children? It is not the 2-parent household. What is the household with the healthiest children, according to the data? Single dads. There's lots of speculation as to why that is, but statistically, a single father tends to be more proactive in taking his kids to the doctor and things like that, which I can barely get myself to the doctor. I don't get it, but the data suggests that single fathers in the family career balance try to keep on top of this stuff so that they don't miss work, so they are proactive in scheduling kids to doctors and proactive in sniffles and things like that. That seems to be the data as to what they have, but overall, long term. And again, there are exceptions. Don't be upset. We're talking the generalities of the statistics here, but it is something we as a society probably need to consider. All right. When we come back, more of your phone calls and more news. 877-973-7425 if you'd like to be on the program. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, delighted to have you with me. All right, we got to move on to all the other stuff of the day, including, so let me just talk real quick about the NFTs. Donald Trump released a series of digital trading cards. They've all been sold, by the way. They are $99, and they're NFTs. And what is an NFT? It's a scam, essentially. And this is not about him. It's just they're kind of a dumb thing. Essentially, what an NFT is it's a digital license and a digital numeric database that you own the digital image of something. A digital image. You don't actually own the thing. You own the digital representation of it. And people have bought them. $99. That was his big announcement yesterday. Now, I will tell you that the campaign did pivot because the reaction fell kind of flat. And with the reaction falling as flat as they did, they pivoted and they released a statement on free speech and free speech code so that his supporters could say, no, that wasn't the big thing. You're misrepresenting it. Actually, it was this thing. It really wasn't. But that's the thing that people say. So there you have it. Now, again, the phone number is 877-973-7425. I have to be very honest with you. I was stalling for time. And the reason I was stalling for time is because I want to talk about something, but I didn't want everybody around here to be here when I talk about it. I wanted to be alone because of the nature of the topic. I've spent a lot of time talking to you about depression. I played for you Bart Barber's commentary from our interview for next week on his mother struggling with Alzheimer's. This one's personal to me, and I have soundproof doors, but I also have kids, and nobody. I'm in my home bunker right now, and I don't know. I don't like to talk about this in front of my kids, but I want you to hear this. For those of you struggling with crummy Christmases, 16 years ago today, I looked my wife in her eyes and I told her she had 6 months to live. I had to tell my wife she was dying. That was 16 years ago today. Yesterday was the day I lost my job. And I was running redstate.com at the time. It's December 15th, 2006. And I go downstairs because I hear my wife coming in. She'd been at the doctor's office for a scan. They'd found some stuff in her lungs months before. They were just checking it. And she came in, and I was going to tell her that I had lost my job 10 days before Christmas. And she had this look on her face, and she had to tell me that at the scan, they found a blood clot in her jugular vein, which suggested she had a real problem because the jugular vein moves so fast, the blood through there, it's very hard to get a clot there. And she got one. which suggested those spots in her lungs might be something bad. And so they needed to biopsy her lungs, which they did 16 years ago today. And the weather was very much like the weather we've had here in Middle Georgia the last week. It was gloomy, foggy, drizzly, and that day it started raining hard. It's like one of those scenes from a movie. And hours go by. So apparently your lung biopsy, they go in through your back. So you're on your stomach, they go in through your back. And they biopsy that way. And they called me back behind security doors down a long hallway to a small room. There was a plastic plant and a table and a phone and a Bible and 2 chairs. And I sat down, and the doctor informed me that they were very sorry, but these things in my wife's lungs, according to pathology, were a very rare form of cancer that had spread to her lungs, and it was the end stage. There was nothing they could do. There were too many of them. And that the cancer, they don't know where it had spread from, but to get to her lungs, it had to be everywhere. And they gave her 6 months. They were very sorry. In the storm, there was a terrible wreck on I-16 outside of Macon, and every doctor available needed to get to the ER to help with people coming in, and they left. They said they'd come back, and I said, no, I'll tell her. They said, she's waking up from anesthesia. We'll take you back to recovery. So I sat back there and waited for her to wake up. And she slowly came to. And we talked for a bit. And she asked me what they said. I don't even remember precisely what I said. But I told her they didn't think there was anything they can do. And we had about 6 months to enjoy each other. She didn't believe them. They said pathology looked twice. Then I realized what time it was. My daughter was at daycare, and you had to be there by 6 p.m., and it was like 5:30, pouring down rain. I told her I kissed her and told her I loved her, and I would come back, but I had to get Evelyn. It was 1. So I rushed to daycare. I got my child. Couldn't make eye contact with anybody. Got my child home. Had this old beat-up Acura. It had been my sister-in-law's. The thing was falling apart. Got her out of the rear passenger side car seat, and I was so emotionally exhausted. It's pouring down rain, and I just collapsed in the mud, started crying. And that kid started patting me on the face, 1 year old, as if everything was going to be okay. I got up, got dried, got cleaned up, got her fed, got her in bed, was waiting for family to come. My sister and my dad had been driving over and were going to be there, and they came, and I got back to the hospital. The preacher was there with his wife. I told them what was going on. Tried to tell my wife what was going on, and she was very adamant this was not the case. And all I can think is I'm about to be out of a job and out of a wife. It's one hell of a Christmas season, let me just tell you that. So for those of you who aren't sure about your perfect Christmas and the tree's just not so, and the angel looks outdated, and you wish you had some updated lights, and there's some lights out on the tree, and there's not enough stuff around the Christmas tree, let me tell you, I know what a crummy Christmas looks like. We were very fortunate that they finally decided they weren't really sure what it was in my wife's lungs, but they were pretty sure she had more than 6 months to live. In 2 days, we will celebrate her birthday. We just had our 22nd anniversary. We've been through some ups and downs in the Erickson household. We certainly have. We've been through some trying times, but I got to tell you, one of those little divine bits of providence and miracles. Had my wife not been misdiagnosed with a terminal cancer in 2006, 10 years later, roughly, in the spring, and now I can't even remember if it was March or April. I was being wheeled into an ICU unit. My family was being called and told they needed to come to Macon, that I wasn't expected to live. I had had a series of blood clots fill up my lungs. Still have some lung damage from it. And while I was being wheeled in, my wife was calling me. And I'm like, oh, look, I think I'm going to die. I don't even have the breath to have a conversation. But I inhaled as deeply as I could so that I could speak and talk to her. And she told me the Mayo Clinic, which had ultimately done the pathology report in 2006, called and said that they think that she might actually have lung cancer, which she does. Incurable, genetic. She takes a little pill called Tagrisso every day, and it keeps the tumors from growing. The pill works for 2 years. She's been on it for 6. It's still working. But had they not misdiagnosed her in 2006, they would have never caught it in 2016. My wife and Rush Limbaugh have the same strain of cancer. His was a slightly different genetic variety, but of the same family. He did not get his cancer through smoking, as some people think, because of his cigars. It was genetic. I know because he told me. He was very curious about Christie's and the treatment for Christie's. But his was found too late. Hers would have been found too late had they not misdiagnosed her a decade before. And now I'm fine and she's fine. She takes this pill. She goes for scans every 3 months, and one day perhaps the pill will stop working, and then we'll be in a world of hurt. But until then, we're good. But I wanted to share that with you because it was 16 years ago today that all this happened, that my world fell apart, if only temporarily. It absolutely crumbled. We also didn't have fantastic insurance, which meant the medical bills were through the roof, so we really didn't have much of a Christmas, but we had a 1-year-old. It's not like your 1-year-old remembers what you get for Christmas. But that's life. Life is not easy. Everyone at some point will go through something in life. And I hear preachers say all the time that God won't give you more than you can handle, and I actually don't believe that's theologically true. God will give you way more than you are capable of handling. The secret is he will never give you more than he can handle. And if you put your faith in him, he will handle it. Maybe not in the way you want, but he will. And I'm living proof of that. 16 years ago, in a 96-hour period, in a 48-hour period, 24-hour period, I lost my job and found out my wife was going to die. In a 96-hour period, went through the whirlwind before they realized they had made a misdiagnosis and we would be okay. It is overwhelming at times. And in the Christmas season in particular, it can be very, very overwhelming. And I want you to know I get that. And I know some of you are on hard times. If I could hug you all, I would. Consider this my radio version of a hug. It will be okay. If you are struggling, prayer actually does work. It really does wonders. Maybe not on your time frame, but it does. God is good. He is sovereign. He's on the throne. He hears all prayers. He dries all eyes. He heals all wounds. I know this from my life. And I'd realize I could probably wait much longer in the day or not at all. And I'll talk to you more about this on my Christmas show on the 23rd next week. But I just needed you to know, for those of you having a really hard time right now, I have been there. I know the struggle and despair of these holiday seasons more vividly than some of you hopefully will ever have to go through. But don't let your heart be troubled. All of us go through very rough patches, some of us more so than others. But we can get through this together. Unfortunately, I could fire up the Eden Pure Thunderstorm and it wouldn't clear the air of all of that and clear the memories out. But it still does work to clean the noxious odors out. If your house, of your car, your RV, your basement, your upstairs, you can get 3 of them for less than $200. Great stocking stuffer, by the way, if you need something. These things, you can hold it in your hand. So you can give it as a stocking stuffer, and you get 3 of them for less than $200. You can give 3 gifts out. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. You put in the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3, and you get 3 of them. EdenPureDeals.com. ERIC3 is the code, and they eliminate odors. You can use it as an air purifier. I don't. But I use it as an odor eliminator. If I have a hotel room where someone's been smoking in it or a rental car, you can plug it in with a USB cord or you can plug it directly into the wall, and it just works. It wipes out those odors. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERICK3, ERICK3. You'll get 3 of them for less than $200. You'll save $200. You will get free shipping, all at EdenPureDeals.com. If you want to read my commentary today, which is pretty much what I was just talking about, you can text the word data to 33777. Click that top link. You should subscribe anyway. And next week while I'm out, it'll be your best way to stay in touch with me and keep up with all the news. I will be here Friday next week for my Christmas program, but we'll be out taking employees on a Christmas vacation trip for a few days at the beginning of the week. The phone number here right now, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program. Thomas, you're going to be up next. Welcome.
Hello, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to let your call screener know. We're talking about, the holiday and depression and so forth, and just wanted to let you know that this weekend, I believe it's this Sunday, is the anniversary of It's a Wonderful Life, and probably the best movie ever about holiday and depression and just, not be able to see what you have.
Yeah, George Bailey is a good guy. I've always Jimmy Stewart was always one of my favorite actors as a kid. Harvey, It's a Wonderful Life. It's a good. I have a friend who's gotten tired of it. His family's made him watch it since he was little, and at this point, he's like, absolutely, I will never watch it again. But It's a Wonderful Life and Die Hard are probably the 2 greatest Christmas movies ever made.
Yes, exactly. And I still haven't. I'm 55 years old, and I've watched it my whole life, and I still have not gotten tired of it.
Yeah, but, I need to make my kids watch it.
Well, and I was telling your call screener, this Sunday, they are actually having screenings at the theater in the Atlanta area. I think it might be nationwide because it is an anniversary. I don't know how many years, but people can go see it this weekend at some local theaters.
Oh, fantastic. That's great to know. Thomas, thank you very much for the phone call. 877-973-7425. When we come back, we got to talk about Starbucks. They're having a massive strike. It's one of many strikes that are out there. I will tell you, I do think probably the 3 best Christmas movies are Die Hard, It's a Wonderful Life, and Home Alone. And, I would probably throw Home Alone 2 in there. Home Alone 2 is in its own right a good movie. It's got Trump in it too. Those are probably my 4 favorite Christmas movies. And in the Christmas Vacation, probably number 5. My wife and I, we grew up watching Christmas Vacation on TV and forgot all the bad language was in it because it's cut out on TBS. We let our kids watch Christmas Vacation several years ago, and my son at the time must have been 8 years old. He's like, I can't believe you let us watch a movie like that. You should be ashamed. Like, oh, I totally forgot about all the bad words in it. Yeah, a lot of bad words in that one. And then he got a little older. We're like, okay, you can watch Die Hard. It's the best Christmas movie. It is the best Christmas movie. Yippee-ki-yay. Okay, when we come back, the Starbucks strike, and then the left is very much bellyaching about Brett Kavanaugh going to a Christmas party. They're totally ignoring the fact that all of their heroes, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, have done the same. We'll take your phone calls as well. 877-973-7425. I got a full show for you today. McDonald's is even suing the Pork Producers of America. They've gotten rid of the McRib over their allegations of price collusion between the pork producers. I got that and the big aquarium collapsing in Berlin. If you haven't heard about that, oh my gosh, massive aquarium in a hotel comes crashing down on people. All the fish go everywhere.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.